Grenade by Alan Gratz. Part 2, pages 218 through 225. Lies and Dreams. Hideki led Kimiko, Masako, and the children on a zigzag path up muddy hills and down blasted valleys, but always north, toward the illumination shells and the gunshots and explosions, toward home. Hideki, Kimiko, and Masako pulled the last of the children up to the top of a steep ridge. They stopped to take a breather, but something about this particular place made Hideki's skin prickle. He motioned for the others to be quiet and stay where they were, and he crept down the other side of the ridge, holding on to tree stumps so as not to slide. And there it was, a Japanese Army machine gun nest. It was pointed north, toward the direction the advancing Americans would come from. Hideki was standing on the hill above the nest, where the Japanese soldiers inside couldn't see him. But they would see Hideki and others when they passed by, and the soldiers would likely shoot them as spies, or for running away. Hideki snuck back to report his findings to Kimiko and Masako. "Why can't we just go around them?" Kimiko asked. "Head west for a while, then turn back north." Hideki shook his head. "If there's a nest here, then there are nests up and down this ridgeline, to the west and east. This is the new defensive line. If we don't find a way past this machine gun, we'll just have to find a way past the next one." "What do we do?" Masako asked. "I'll take care of it," Hideki said. "Give me 5 minutes, then take the kids over the ridge and down through the next valley. I'll keep the machine gunners distracted." "How?" Kimiko asked. Hideki shrugged and headed back down the ridge. "I'll think of something." "Use your grenade," Masako hissed. Hideki considered it again. His last grenade. The one the IJA had given him to kill himself with. The fragile ceramic thing had survived the whole awful battle. All he had to do was chuck the thing through the hole cut in the hillside, and the machine gun nest would be destroyed. So would the soldiers who operated it. Then Kimiko and Masako and the children could slip safely by. Hideki thought he saw something moving out of the corner of his eye, and he glanced sideways at it, but no one was there. Hideki put a hand to the stitches under his hair and wondered if he was sensing the ghost of Ray, or if his head wound was playing tricks on him. Either way, it was a stark reminder of what happened when he threw grenades at people. He would just have to find a different way to distract the soldiers. Hideki returned to the hill above the machine gun nest and took a deep breath. He had to make this work, for Kimiko, and Masako, and the little kids. "Yokai!" Hideki said, loud enough for the soldiers inside to hear him. "What?" someone called from the bunker. "Who said that? Who's there?" "Yokai!" Hideki said again. "You don't sound like a ghost," the soldier called back. He still couldn't see who was talking, and Hideki could hear the rising panic in the soldier's voice. "Yokai is the new password," Hideki said. "I'm from headquarters. You're supposed to give me the response." "Response? We don't know the response," the soldier called back. "Nobody tells us anything out here." All right, Hideki said. "I can tell you're Japanese. I'm coming down." Hideki scrambled down the muddy slope and climbed inside the tiny machine gun nest. There were only 2 soldiers there, both Japanese army privates. Their clothes were muddy and oversized, like the men had shrunk in the rain, and they had each had scraggly beards that showed just how long they'd been alone. The bunker reeked of sweat and urine, and there were 3 inches of water on the floor. Between them stood a Type 92 heavy machine gun. How long had Hideki been gone? Was it already 5 minutes? He had to hurry. Kimiko and Masako and the kids might already be moving by now. "Private Hideki Kinoshiro, Blood and Iron Student Corps," Hideki said, saluting them. "Lieutenant Colonel Sano sent me." It wasn't exactly a lie. Through the window of the bunker, Hideki caught a flash of movement. It wasn't Ray's ghost this time. It was Kimiko, Masako, and the kids. They were out in the open, where the machine gunners could see them if they looked. Hideki slid around to the back side of the cave so the soldiers had to turn away from them to see him. "What's the message?" one of the soldiers asked. "Yes, the message," Hideki said. He hadn't thought that far ahead yet. Ideas swarmed in his mind like flies, but none of them landed. Behind the soldiers, one of the children slipped in the mud and fell, and Kimiko stopped to help him up. "The Yamato," Hideki said. "The big battleship is coming to save us." "What? We heard it was sunk, one of the soldiers said. No, that was just a rumor started by the high command to fool the Americans. The Yamato is still floating and will soon chase the American armada away so more reinforcements can land. It might have been a tall tale, but it was the one the two soldiers desperately wanted to believe. They laughed and clapped each other on the shoulders. As life came back into their faces, Hideki saw how young they were under those beards, barely older than he was. Behind the soldiers, Kimiko and the others were still visible, climbing a long, low hill. Where are you from? Hideki asked, trying to stall for time. Hiroshima, one of the boys said. I was going to go to university to study chemistry, but then I was drafted into the army. I'm from Iwaki, the other boy said. My father and I were fishermen before the Navy confiscated our boat. Then he and I were both drafted. He's in Korea now. The two soldiers were quiet for a moment, remembering the people they used to be. Their lives got interrupted by the war just like mine, Hideki realized. It was easy to think of the soldiers as the ones doing the interrupting, as the people who had come to disrupt the peace of Okinawa, but neither of these boys had volunteered for this. They both had things they'd been doing, families they longed to see again, plans for the future. All that had been taken away from them, too. Do you have any food in that pack, Private? One of the soldiers asked. Hideki's heart fluttered at the offer of a perfect new distraction, until he remembered he and the others had already eaten everything he had. I'm sorry I don't have food, he told them, but I do have cigarettes. The look on the soldiers' faces told Hideki he was their new best friend. Hideki took his time emptying his pack to look for the cigarettes and stole a quick glance outside. Kimiko helped the last of the children over the hill, and they disappeared into the darkness. Hideki smiled with relief and relaxed. He didn't have to keep the soldiers' attention any longer, and his thoughts turned to how quickly now he could get away and rejoin Kimiko. What's this? One of the soldiers asked. Hideki had taken the oilskin pouch of photographs out to find the cigarettes, and one of the soldiers had picked it up and was looking inside. Oh, that's pictures, Hideki said, though the soldiers could clearly see that's what they were. Pictures of dead soldiers and their families, he thought, but he couldn't say that. The soldiers lit cigarettes and flipped through the pictures, studying the faces and places. With each image of their long lost home, the mood in the bunker became more and more melancholy. Why do you have all of these? One of the soldiers asked. Hideki couldn't explain Mabui, couldn't explain Ray. Not here, not now. He said instead, the American ones were in a pack I took from a soldier after he was dead, after I killed him. The others, soldiers gave to me for safekeeping. The soldiers might have understood that the men who gave Hideki the photos were all dead now, but they accepted the little white lie. The two young men smoked their cigarettes and thought of home, and Hideki sat awkwardly, itching to get his pictures back and leave. I should get back to headquarters, Hideki said at last. The soldiers nodded and handed him back the pictures. Hey, can I give you a picture too? One of them said. He pulled a wrinkled, water-stained photo from his jacket pocket. He hesitated, reluctant to let it go, then handed it to Hideki. It's me and my mother, back in Iwaki, he said. For safekeeping, like the others, in case the Yamato doesn't come in time for us. Me too, the other soldier said. He gave Hideki a picture of him and his sweetheart, a pretty young woman who lived in Hiroshima. They knew, Hideki realized. They knew the Yamato was a lie. If not his lie, then somebody else's. That the dream of victory was just that, a dream. The reality was they were all going to die here on Okinawa, and soon. And Hideki and his sister and the children were going to die with them if they couldn't get past the American army next.